now that I got my microphone on. Roll call, Commissioner Schmidt is by phone, and Commissioner Farmer is absent tonight, so I'll be doing the gavel stuff. We start every meeting by an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, and tonight Commissioner Siemens will lead us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you first of all for all the gifts that you have given to each one of us individually as well as our community. We pray that you'll be with us this evening as we make decisions that will be for the betterment, we hope, of all of our citizens in the community. In Jesus' name we pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, number 4, approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda tonight that we need to discuss? No? Great. Moving on, anybody want to make a motion that we approve the agenda?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have the minutes of the October 20th, 2025 regular meeting. Everybody's had time to read those minutes in their packet. Anybody have any changes, additions, corrections, or want to make a motion to approve as written?
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from October 20th, 2025.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the October 20th regular meeting of 2025. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Moving on to business 6.1, discussion and approval of Lemon Park closure for C-Spot Run on Saturday, April 18th from 6 a.m. to noon. Kyra,
Tiffany Riley.
Tiffany Riley.
Kyra is unable to make it tonight, so she messaged me just a little while ago and asked me to go ahead and present for her. So she is looking to ask for closure of Lemon Park. She's wanting to do a third C-Spot run. This will be a 5K, a 1 mile, a 10K, and she's trying to do a half marathon, all kind of tied into one event. She's asking for the closure of Lemon Park from April 18th, from early in the morning until about noon. This will be a fundraiser for the Humane Society. That's really all I know. I could try to answer any questions if there's any questions.
Have we done it before?
She has done 2 other C-Spot Run 5Ks in the last year. One in April, one in the fall.
Were
So
you
this is,
contacted about any streets or necessary extra trash cans or anything?
I asked her, she said she would work with you and Jeff for the route.
Typically,
'cause I
they
asked.
don't need any extra anything at Lemon Park. There's already 6 trash cans down there at all times. I don't know whether or not she's requesting to close the park gate for traffic. I assume she is. She
Yeah, I
did
assume so.
previously.
Yes.
Again, that's usually no big deal. Is that correct?
Yeah, on typical requests like that, we just simply lock the facility, but I think, or we will lock the facility because I know Lemons Park can stay overnight, so.
Correct.
We can have patrol security.
Right. Yeah, secure it before 6 a.m. time frame, and then as long as they're cleaned up and out by noon, it shouldn't be any big deal. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody have any questions?
I'd make a motion that we approve the closure of Lemon Park, April 18th from 6 to noon for the C-Spot Run race.
Okay, it's been moved and, excuse me, moved and seconded that we close Lemon Park on April 18th from 6 a.m. to noon for the C-Spot Run 5K, 10K run.
All the
Any-
running.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Gary, get that?
Aye.
Aye, okay, thank you. Motion carried.
Are you able to hear that fairly well, Gary?
Sort of, yeah.
We'll take that.
Okay. Moving on to 6.2, discussion and/or approval of the Mid-State Hydro Agreement for well number 17. City Manager Regina Goff.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Mike Younger and Cody Smith, our city attorney, have been working to get this contract up to Cody's, approval, and I think that they've gotten there. Basically, our old geologist, Brad Vincent, is retiring midway through the Well 17 project, and so we needed to pull on another geologist, and so that is what this individual with Mid-State Hydro is about. Cody, do you have any commentary on the contract itself?
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, the changes to the contract and the general terms and conditions that are attached to it, I incorporated all of those into that attachment A, contractual matters attachment, which you all have seen before in some previous contracts that we've done. And it makes that attachment A take precedent over the other documents. So there are a few couple conflicting terms, but as opposed to just rewriting the entire parts of the contract, especially the way it was set up and how we received it in PDF format as opposed to a Word document, it just seemed more appropriate and streamlined to do the contractual matters attachment. And the new geologist has agreed to that and signed it. So with that said, that alleviated any potential concerns I had with the agreement, and so I would recommend approval based on that attachment being included in the agreement.
We have to have a geologist in order to
Right.
complete the Well 17, and this was the one there's not very many in the state of Kansas, first of all. And so when Brad announced his retirement, Mike sought out, I think Martha's, her name is Smith.
Well, I thought that was really clever to just do the attachment A instead of trying to redo all that other. That was good.
Yeah, and really what it came down to, like we've seen other contracts, their standard contract is built more for private businesses, and as we've discussed before with other contracts, there's certain terms that don't really apply to municipalities, so those are really the primary changes where the contractual matters attachment clears that up. But yeah, I agree. I think that seemed like the easiest way to resolve it so we can get this project moving.
Anybody have any further questions?
So the original guy's gonna do part of it, and these people are gonna pick up after that?
No, she's gonna take over immediately.
Oh, do the whole thing?
Yep. So Brad, we were in consultation with Mr. Vincent. Like, we've been in consultation with him in prospecting for Well 18 also, but he doesn't want to get involved in Well 17 because he won't be able to complete the project. It's not anticipated to be completed until 2027. I will say, just also as a matter of information, that Well 17 does qualify for a forgivable loan, 100% loan forgiveness. So you are voting to spend the money on these professionals, but it will all be reimbursed to the city also.
Good to know.
And so her rates are comparable with what we've had in the past?
They're higher than Mr. Vincent's. I can't tell you the exact percentage higher, but Mike Younger, who we work closely with, was not dissuaded. He did not think that they were unreasonable.
Okay.
And they're not to exceed that 19,000. Okay.
I'd make a motion that we approve the agreement on Mid-States Hydro for Well 17.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the Mid-State Hydro Agreement for well number 17 as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 6.3, discussion and/or approval of funding request for a salt spreader. Mr. Roy Sinclair.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got this is a big salt spreader, 5.5 yard. The one I have is a 99 model, and it's really starting to need some attention. And I don't want to take a chance of it laying down in the middle of winter. And I'd like to have another one because we've had two in the past. I got a price on this one. I got another price from Kansas Truck, which was $100 cheaper, but this company got sent one by mistake and it's sitting in their yard. We can go get it anytime. And we're buying Salt Dog spreaders because they're all the same. They all use the same engine. So we've got 3 smaller ones than this one will be, but they're all the same engine, everything. So they'll all hook up the same. Just makes it easier for us for maintenance and parts.
You're about out of funds in your capital outlays. Are you good till the end of the year then? You
Yes.
think? Okay.
Yeah, it's on my 402 account. I budgeted for it last year.
Yeah, Roy, I talked to Roy about this when he said they went and got the one for the 1 ton, and he said they had it in their yard. And I asked him if he still had budget money to allow for another one. He said he had it, it's there. We know we need one or will need one in the very near future. And since there's such a wait list, I told him it does make sense to get one now when we have it
Sure.
for the winter.
Yeah.
Especially with the winter they're predicting.
Okay, I'll
The
make
two
a,
of you. Unless Gary wants to make a motion.
Gary, would you like to make it?
I'd make a motion that we approve the funding request for the salt spreader for $15,531.75.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of a 5-yard Salt Dogs salt spreader in the amount of $15,531.75. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roy. 6.4, discussion and/or approval of funding request for Fifth Street Alley Project. Mr. Jeff Shanline, Public Works.
Thank you, commissioners. I was contacted from a business owner on this block. It's the 500 block of the west side of Main Street, so 500 to 600 behind Doug Ray in the old Kanza shop. That alley was in a state of desperate repair. I went down it. It's a 5 mile an hour at best alley. So I sent out bid estimates for the replacement of this alley of 3,840 square feet of 8-inch concrete, 12-foot wide on a southern grade for drainage, just like we had bid for the one across the street on the same block. I got 2 bids back, one from Orozco Concrete LLC at $37,500, and a second one back from Smiley Concrete LLC for a bid price of $42,550. Not only was Smiley's bid higher, but he also couldn't come in our time frame because I needed it done before the end of the year to fit it in this year's budget. Orozco's was lower and can't fit it in, so that's why we decided to go for his bid with your approval. After looking at Roy's budget, this is going to come out of the materials budget, line item 452,304, and he had about $56,000 in there. Since we weren't sure what his remaining budget after end of year expenses were going to be, I went and talked to Doug Ray Chevrolet to see if they would contribute to the project, since it was time sensitive and we wanted to get it in before the end of the year. And they agreed to commit $5,000 to the project that Orozco will build them out separately. So for repair of this alley, we're looking to fund for $32,500 out of And that will come out of Roy's materials budget, and then that will allow for all of the rest of his year's expenses still to be covered.
This alley was on the list to be done. It is substantially worse, so I talked to Russ about it. There's, almost all of the alleys have been done on the east side of Main Street, not on the west side of Main Street. The only one left to be done on the east side of Main Street is in substantially better condition
So,
than
yes.
this alley. This alley really does need to be addressed first, and especially since Mr. Ray is willing to contribute funds towards, substantial funds towards the replacement of the alley. I recommend you do that.
So tonight, do we need to approve 37.5 or 32.5?
No, we're only
32.
needing to approve for the 32,500. The other 5,000 will be billed separately.
Okay. Well, I'll make any other questions? I'll make a motion that we approve the funding request for the Fifth Street Alley project as presented by Jeff to Orozco for the amount of $32,500. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the funding request for Fifth Street Alley project as presented to Orozco for $32,500. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6.5, discussion and/or approval of resolution 110325-A, alcohol sales for hi-fi dueling pianos. Miss Tiffany Riley again.
Thank you. Just here to request permission to sell alcohol at the municipal building for a New Year's show on December 31st. This is a dueling piano show, and I thought I might define what that is because a lot of people don't know what a dueling piano show is. So it's two piano players on stage. They're not fighting, but they're playing. They take turns playing. Sometimes they play together. This group also has a drummer. It's a high energy show. Requests from audience, sing along, dancing, clapping, laughing. They do a little bit of comedy. They do a little bit of, it's just a combination of a lot of fun things. This event, we're going to serve some food. We're also wanting to serve the same alcohol that we've served in the past. We're going to ask to do beer and seltzer. I've had a lot of requests for some wine, and since it's New Year's, also doing champagne. That is allowed with our liquor license, that we can serve glasses of wine and glasses of champagne. So the goal would be to do the beer, the seltzer, and the glasses of wine at the bar, and then to pre-sell champagne to the table. So if they want to do a champagne toast, we would deliver that to them right before New Year's Eve. It'd be December 31st. We'll start at 8. We'll be done shortly after midnight. The piano crew tells me they've done quite a few New Year's Eve, and usually it dies off very quickly after midnight. People want to go home. So our last call for alcohol would probably be midnight-ish. I can work again to get safe rides. We've offered those at every event we've had so far. So far, we've had just maybe 2 people take us up on that, but I am happy to find an organization that'll offer it just as an option so that we've got that covered. We've not had any problems, I don't think, with any of the alcohol at any of the events. So just asking to do it again.
Sounds good. Sounds like fun. Oh, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 110325-A, authorizing the consumption and sale of alcohol at the municipal building on December 31st. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 110325-A, authorizing the consumption and sale of alcohol at the municipal building on December 31, 2025. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Thank you. And now 6.6, discussion and approval of resolution 110325-B, alcohol sales for the Key of G Garth Brooks tribute concert. Tiffany Riley.
So same story, different month. We're going to bring back another country artist. Last time we brought in a country artist, it was probably our biggest selling, maybe second biggest selling show. Had a lot of people when we had Logan Mize in 2024. So this is a guy called Key of G. It's a band from Nashville. They're a Garth Brooks tribute band. I think that's going to be really popular, and that will be January 24th on a Saturday night. This one starts a little earlier. It'll be 7:30 to 9:30. Just looking to do probably beer and seltzer again. Again for that event, and have it. People like to, when they go to the country concerts, that's just kind of a staple with that. So.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 110325B for alcohol sales at the Key of G Garth Brooks tribute concert.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Resolution 110325-B, authorizing consumption and sale of alcohol to municipal building on January 24th, 2026.
I know, it sounds weird to say that.
It does. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
6.7, discussion and/or approval of funding request to purchase the used Kansas Highway Patrol unit for DARE, School Resource Officer, Chief Holder.
Thank you, sir. In this proposal, in conversation with Sergeant Danny Gempel, there's a concern about his aging 2016 Ford Explorer with 135,000 miles. Sergeant Gempel and Officer Warman are going to begin teaching a DARE program, a new DARE program to our 5th grade USD 382 students. I had a conversation with Jim Othout, who is the fleet pool manager for the Kansas Highway Patrol, and started exploring what kind of used units that they may have available for this. Under the special alcohol fund that the police department receives from alcohol sales tax within the city, we currently have about $99,000 in that fund, which is limited to use in training education for alcohol and drug treatment, detoxification, and education, which the DARE neatly fits into. The proposal is to purchase this unit for Sergeant Gempel as a school resource officer and a DARE education officer. In conversation with Mr. Othout, he had a 2020 Dodge Challenger with 59,000 miles on it for $31,000. It was an administrative unit. It was not used for patrol use. He had several 2023 Dodge Chargers with about 50,000 miles, running about 33,600. And then Dodge Durangos, none currently available, 1 to 2 month waiting period, about $38,000 for those units, but those are also fleet units. The request is for $31,500 to purchase the Dodge Challenger and $1,500 allowance for Taylor Printing to come up with it'll be basically our logos that we currently have on our patrol units. Formerly, we were using U.S. logo out of Wichita to perform these wraps that we have on our cars. Taylor Printing has come in cheaper, and we're using local for the same wrap and design. We'd like to use Taylor Printing to get also some DARE and SRO logos on this particular unit that will be unique to that unit for a school setting. Anything that you would like to add, Danny, about the unit and the use of the unit?
It won't be very fun to drive, right? No.
It is a cool looking, DARE type SRO car that's unique, to our fleet, but certainly capable of patrol use as well.
So that was kind of in line with my question. I mean, just on face value, a car, okay, I'm in favor of getting either the Challenger or the Charger. The Charger, 3 years newer and 10,000 miles less for a couple $1,000s, looks like the better buy, unless you want the pizzazz factor, for DARE. And if you do, that's fine, but just wanted to
Right.
To clarify that.
The only thing that, engine-wise difference, that Challenger does have it's a Hemi-powered unit, where the Dodge Chargers, it is a V6 engine. I've operated both of them, not a Charger, but a V6 powered patrol unit, and it's grossly underpowered, in my opinion.
Okay.
So Monty, I spoke to both Joe and Danny regarding this purchase, and it was important to us that we have this discussion in a public forum, because it is a sporty car. But when I asked Danny last week, I said, tell me the advantages, because I'll tell you the disadvantages. The disadvantages primarily could be public perception. And Danny said that because primarily this will be a DARE vehicle at the school, we have limited funds, or the alcohol funds we can only use for a limited number of things. This is one of those things. We have a lot of money in that account. But also he told me that when he is on patrol during the summer and on patrol during Christmas break and school holiday breaks, that the idea of chasing bad guys in a V6 versus chasing bad guys in a V8, he feels safer in the V8. And so I take him at face value on that he feels safer as a patrol officer, that he can outrun bad guys if he has the larger vehicle engine. Did I say that correctly, Danny? Okay.
And this totally complies with the use of the funds or the limitation of the funds.
I reviewed Kansas Statute 7941A04, and it definitely, it basically states addressing alcohol, drug abuse, prevention, education, detoxification, intervention, and treatment. And I think that the DARE program would neatly fall into that category.
Good for me.
And
Well, I will make a motion, excuse me, to approve the purchase of a 2020 Dodge Challenger from Kansas Highway Patrol for $31,500 plus an additional $1,500 for door wraps and logo attachment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the purchase of a 2020 Dodge Challenger for the police department in the amount of $31,500 plus an additional $1,500 for door wraps, etc. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you.
Moving on to 6.8, discussion and/or approval of the AIA Addendum Number 1. City Manager Regina Goff.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. I will pivot to Cody pretty quickly, because he drafted this addendum after the original contract was approved at the last commission meeting. There was a meeting between Tara, Alita, me, Justin, and I can't remember if Smiley was at that meeting or not. I sent the addendum to Smiley, and he has agreed to sign this. But the concern was making sure that we had all of the relevant contract language related to federal grants, because we have the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks grant, and so we wanted to make sure that we had the BABA language, the Buy America, Build America, and a number of other contract provisions that Tara had, during that meeting, typed into an email and forwarded to Cody, and she actually cut and pasted them from federal grant requirement, forms, and so that's where I believe that most of the language came from. And now, Cody, I'll pivot to, that's the background of it, and then also I will add that I did send this particular document to Smiley, Smiley Concrete, Robert, and he said that he has no issues with any of these. The paragraph 4, disbarment and suspension, he said that's never occurred for him or his company, and so he's not concerned about signing this at all.
Yeah, so this is just language that, in this addendum, to show if the grants provider, at a later date has any questions as to whether or not we're enforcing these or complying with these, or the contractor is complying with these, to show that we do in fact have all this in an addendum that both parties have signed, so that both parties are aware that these things exist and that they need to be followed. Mr. Smiley did say he's had other contracts with other government entities that included federal funds, and he said he's seen similar things, so he didn't have any issue, of course, with signing it. So that's essentially what it comes down to. Because there are federal grant monies involved, we just want to be able to show the grant provider that both parties are aware of this information and will follow it.
Okay. Any more questions?
I'd make a motion that we approve addendum number 1 to the Point Visitor and Recreation Facility agreement between the owner and contractor.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the AIA addendum number 1 agreement between Smiley Concrete and the City of Pratt. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Excuse me. Moving on to 6.9, discussion and/or approval of the fire truck bank loan. Chief Hoffman.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. Of course, first time doing this, so bear with me. We did get 3 of the bids back from the 3 banks, the People's Bank, the Fusion Bank, and Legacy. And they've sent those terms back, or their bid request on that. Following some of the counsel from Tara and talking to her, kind of came up with the same resolution on that. Either an 8 or a 10-year loan would be good for that. We did happen to notice that also on the People's Bank, there's a $3,700 origination fee on that as well to the beginning of that. But going with an 8-year note, we're looking at saving approximately $43,000 on the total note itself. So as far as that goes, that's where we were on that as far as the loan goes. So I'm not sure as far as recommendations for, if it was up to me to decide on the 8-year or a 10-year from People's Bank, or if we would want to look at.
Well, I
any
looked
other
at that,
options.
you're the banker, but it looked like we could still cover the 8-year payment. It'd still come out ahead
Right.
a year.
Tara's recommendation is to go with the 8-year. That being said, Justin did send out an email today because looking at the $3,700 origination from the People's Bank, that puts the People's Bank and Fusion very close in total dollars, with the Fusion Bank actually coming in a few $100s less. So, it's not a substantial number, it's not even 5%, but I do think it just needs to be said.
Okay.
Justin, you have anything to add to that?
There was a few $100 difference between the two. I just noticed it and asked Tara about it, so we're on the same page. As you said, call, make sure that it's accurate, and that it could be a few $100 difference. So you have to, the commission to decide whether you wanted to go 8 or 10 years, or then if you wanted to stick with People's at that percent of 4.4, if you wanted to go Fusion at 4.48.
Was Fusion also 8-year? Oh, I see.
Yeah,
8
Fusion.
years.
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on the paperwork, we asked for 8, 10, 12, and 15. That's in the fire department. And Fusion only offered 8.
Only offered the 8.
Peoples did 8, 10, 12, 15, like we asked. And then Legacy did 8,
8 and 10.
I believe.
Yeah, they just did the 8 and 10.
And they weren't,
Does, I'll just add, does Monty have to recluse
Yeah, I'll
himself?
abstain.
I
Abstain.
assumed that he would, yeah. Cody, do you have a thought? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, since there could be a potential financial interest there, it'd be wise just to abstain from the vote on it.
So I guess our question is, do we decide on Fusion or Peoples?
I will say this, if you decide on any denomination of years other than 8 years, then you'd have to go with People's because Fusion only gave you an 8-year option.
Can we consensus, we would want 8 years? I would.
Gary, do you have an opinion on the duration?
You can afford it, I like
So are we bound to go with the lowest bid, even if it's a couple $100 difference, or what's your advice?
No, you're not
Cody?
bound to go by lowest. There's a lot of other factors you can take into consideration, such as, any history you've had with a particular bank in this case. If you've had a great history with one of them as opposed to another, even if the one that you had the great history with was higher than the one that you had no history or bad history with, then of course it would make more sense to go with the one that was higher, just because you've always had a good history with it, and it could be unknown for another one. So there's certainly other factors you can take into consideration as opposed to just the cost alone.
We have a great history with with all three banks, really. The vast majority of the city's funds are held in people's bank accounts. But we have done lease purchase agreements with all three of those entities, and they've all been good to us.
Any advice?
Don't feel pressure because I'm sitting here.
It's up to you. I like what you said, Cody. We do have a history with Peoples. I do like the idea of spreading things around town, but I don't really have one preference or the other. Regina, do you?
I genuinely believe that both have been very good to the city. I think it's a
Right.
couple $100.
Gary, do you have any opinion?
Not really. I can go either way. I like doing business with banks that we're familiar with the most, but that's pretty close.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we go with People's Bank for an 8-year loan for the fire truck. Is that said well enough, or do I need to say more?
You'll go with the people's bid with the 8-year option.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the fire truck bank loan with the People's Bank with the 8-year option as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to celebrate that our fire truck is almost complete, and that Eric and Todd are going to go up to Nebraska and bring it home.
When?
South Dakota.
We're not bringing it home. It's a final inspection. The final inspection will be the 18th. We're going up the 18th, 19th, and 20th,
Of
so we'll be
November?
driving up. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, of this month. So we'll do a final inspection on it, and then it'll also have to go get the decals and
are you going to
lights
get
and
your
everything.
door big enough to?
Yeah, that's in my list of things.
Okay, all right.
We're working on that. So.
Okay. Well, moving on to 6.10, discussion and/or approval of ordinance 2518, dissolving the building board. Cody Smith, attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Our city manager, Regina, talked to me about this particular issue. Apparently, the city of Pratt at one point had a building board that was involved with essentially a lot of the safety codes that the city has enacted. But for about the last 10 years, the building board basically kind of de facto dissolved itself. And the city has not been operating with that board. It's been using other staff, which has been working just fine, enforcing those particular laws. So it made sense to prepare an ordinance that would officially dissolve that building board, so that there wasn't any question if there was an issue that came up with any of the procedural processes for enforcing those, that it was clear that that no longer existed. So I went through the code and picked out all the provisions that reference that created the building board, of course, and there were quite a few, or at least a couple, that reference the building board. So I went through and included all those amendments in this ordinance number 2518, basically to clean up the code, to reflect how we are currently enforcing those provisions. So by passing this ordinance, you're doing just that, just getting rid of the references to the building board, which will reflect how we're currently enforcing these provisions.
So there hasn't been any activity with that board?
No, my understanding is it's been about 10 years where it just kind of, I get, maybe for lack of participation or something, it fell by the wayside. So staff basically stepped in to fill that role essentially. We have Mr. Walker, and then I think he's backed by other staff. And then if it comes to an issue that goes above that, I believe the city manager can step in and make some of those calls as well.
So, I've been with this city for almost 9 years, and this board has not met in the entirety of those 9 years. I don't even know who would be considered to still be on the board right now because they haven't met in as long as I can remember. I believe that I was told that with the full-time position of the code enforcer coming on, then that helped alleviate the need for this board, as well as the planning and zoning board acting as both a quasi-legislative body and an appellate quasi-body, or a body that handled the appeals as well. So that's why I think that this board became obsolete. Now, Jamie, do you ever remember this board meeting? Ever? Because you've been here way longer than me.
City historian.
You hold the institutional knowledge, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. Anybody?
I'd make a motion that we approve ordinance 2518 dissolving the building board.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance number 2518, dissolving the building board, and I guess repealing all ordinance and parts of ordinance herewith. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to 6.11, discussion and/or approval of dangerous structure proceedings. Cody Smith, City Attorney.
Okay, since I've been city attorney, we have not had a dangerous structure proceeding yet, so not aware of all of your history with these types of procedures, these types of cases. I went ahead and drafted a memorandum on the topic just to give you all some background on the process for dangerous structure proceeding, which will help explain what we're doing tonight with the three structures that are on the agenda. Well, yeah, that won't make a difference. Okay, can you hear me okay now?
That's better, yes, thank you.
Okay, I got the phone in front of me, so hopefully this will work. So I was saying that I wasn't familiar with any of the commissioner's history with this process, the dangerous structure process, so I wanted to draft this memorandum that was included in the packet just to make sure everyone is aware of how the procedure works, so that way too we're all an understanding of why it's on the agenda today And then also, if anyone had any questions about where we go from here after we're finished with the agenda items today going forward, I put that information into the memorandum as well. So essentially, this is set by state law, but we have incorporated it into our ordinances. About every city has the same language within its own city ordinances, and we are the case with that as well. But it starts off by the enforcing officer, which in this case is part of Mr. Walker's roles, filing a statement setting forth that it's his belief that a structure is dangerous or unsafe. And in the packet we do have, there's a statement for each property, 412 South Main Street, 712 North Pine Street, and 117 North High Street. After that is done, those are, like tonight, are placed on the agenda for a resolution fixing the time and place for hearing. So essentially, this is a due process requirement for this procedure. It requires that a hearing, a public hearing, be set before this commission, and that date and time be given to all parties involved, any interested parties. Primarily, it's the owner of the property, but sometimes there's lien holders or other interested parties that have an interest in the property. And so Mr. Walker has worked with a title search company on that particular issue to make sure that when we do send out notice, everyone that needs to be noticed up is required pursuant to law, is noticed up, in fact. And then once the resolutions are approved, the publication notice requirements will be followed, and then the public hearing will be had. At that time, that is when basically the evidence will be presented by Mr. Walker. I, as a city attorney, can be involved with that as well and ask questions. You all can ask questions. You all are essentially the adjudicators, the judges in the matter to determine whether or not a property is in fact dangerous or unsafe. The interested parties for the property, of course, may appear as well and present any evidence they have to indicate that it is not a dangerous or unsafe property. And at the end of that, there are a few actions that the commission can take. Of course, if the commission finds that it's dangerous or unsafe, it can order that the property be repaired or demolished. Set a timeline for starting that work and a timeline for finishing that work. And if neither one of those are followed, the property could be taken down by the city. If that's the case, then the cost of doing so can be applied to the property as a tax or a special assessment, put on the tax rolls, less if there's any salvage or anything like that, which I believe is rare, but if there's anything that can be sold from the salvage of the property, that would, of course, be taken against the total cost. In terms of setting a date for these particular properties, the law is that the resolutions have to be published twice for 2 weeks, and then the hearing cannot be held until 30 days have passed after those 2 weeks of publication. So in looking at our calendar, I've put into the proposed resolution for each property that the public hearings be held on January 20th of 2026. We could actually have it earlier. The final timeline would end towards the end of December, but of course we have the holidays in there. We could possibly do it that first meeting in January, but that, I believe, would be the meeting where maybe we might have some new commissioners, and so it may not be a good idea to have the hearing on the day we might have the new members of the commission. Also, that could potentially change. Basically, the law says it has to be at least by that second Monday in January when the new commission members take office. We could change that by ordinance or resolution. The law allows for that. I guess the city has not done that and has just stayed with the statutory requirement. But in the event the city decides to do that between now and then, we wouldn't be worried about that first meeting date changing and affecting the public hearing date. So January 20th is what I propose that we put in the resolution, just to make sure, we have a date that's not going to change for those hearings.
Hey, Cody, one of the concerns about having it that late, though, is the funds. Robert was trying to make sure to use funds from the 2025 budget, and I don't know if we can appropriately encumber funds from the 2025 budget to cover 2026 demolitions if we haven't had the hearing and and a resolution allowing for the remediation of the unsafe structures.
I think it's going to have to be, no matter what, I don't think the demolitions are going to be able to occur until next year, so.
I don't disagree, but if the hearing occurs in 2025, and therefore an order to remove the structure occurs in 2025, then the funds can be encumbered from the 2025 budget. And Robert wouldn't have to use 2026 funds for that. Does that make sense? One remedy, one option is that we usually do at the end of the year a workshop, especially when we have new commissioners coming on board, and that's usually one of the last weeks in November or in December. Maybe if we allow for, I don't know if that's appropriate or not, to have those hearings at the workshop.
That would be, the only, because I don't even believe the second meeting in December would have given enough time. It was close, but I believe when I did the calculating the time on that, that 30 days after the 2 weeks of publication was going to occur after our second meeting. So essentially we would need to have a special meeting, which that workshop meeting is essentially a type of special meeting, in my opinion, to where we could do that, or we could set a separate special meeting to have the hearings.
Well, all these property owners, are they going to be responsible for the demolition, or will the city be responsible?
So in the 30 days, they will have the opportunity to remedy it, or I guess it's after the 30 days. I mean, they can remedy it for the next 30 days. Then there'll be a hearing at the, on the date certain that we decide on. And at that hearing, the property owner can bring to you evidence that they've remedied it, that it's not really unsafe, whatever, and then you can make a decision from there. And Cody, I'm sorry, I just swapped into city attorney mode. After that hearing, then how many days? Is it 60 days?
Well, there's no set time. It just has to be reasonable under state law. It has to be a reasonable amount of time to start the work, whether that be repair or demolish. And then there needs to be a reasonable amount of time once the work is started to finish the work. So it can come down to a number of factors, like obviously the size of the structure, the weather conditions and things like that. If everything's iced over and things like that, it's probably going to need to be a longer time period to fit that reasonableness standard. But essentially, from what I've seen from historical cases like this, generally sets the work to begin at least start within 14 to 30 days, and then if it is started within that time period, then another 30 days to finish the work. But again, it just kind of depends on the nature of the structure and how much time you all think is reasonable, with input from staff in terms of what is reasonable to get the structure repaired or removed.
And if they do that, then it doesn't cost us anything,
Right.
and the whole budget issue is not a factor.
Right. And
It's
even
only
Correct.
if they don't, and we have to tear it down, is where we pay for it and put it on their property taxes, and
Right.
maybe, but likely not, get reimbursed when their taxes go to sheriff's sale.
Are either one of these land bank potential?
Don't know.
So Cody, since our official news source is our website, does does this particular statute require an actual publication in a paper published, or does it allow for us to use, does it just say it has to be published? Because Bree could publish it tomorrow on the 4th and then again on the 11th, right?
Yes, yeah.
And then as far as days go, do we not count in the 30 days the weekends?
We do. That does make it a little trickier of a situation, because generally the publication period has always been, once a week for 2 weeks. So I was looking at it being published basically for 2 weeks, because it's obviously once you post it to the website, it's published, so you don't really republish it because it's just there. So I was just on the safe side, was going with, if it's on the website for 2 weeks, then after that 2-week period, then we could run the 30 days.
I see, which puts it at the 18th, is that what?
Yeah, I think
I
the
see.
18th was what I was looking at.
Okay.
So if we do that different timeline like you're talking about, do we just amend these resolutions, or do we have to have another meeting, or can we do that tonight?
You could pass it with the. You could move to pass the resolutions upon revising the date to such and such date that you want to set it at, and approve the mayor to sign the revised resolutions. I think that would be perfectly fine.
Cody, do you think that there's a statutory problem with encumbering the money to raise the properties even without an order, should it so be ordered? Because then you can keep the January date if you don't think that that's an issue with the cash basis law.
Well, I guess the question would come down to, is there not money in the next year's budget to do it? And where's this money going from this year?
So it doesn't stack. This is a use-lose account because it's a general fund account. And I know that we had discussed that there's only so much money in that account. Robert's new, and so he's just now getting his, comfortable with these proceedings and with the demolition of properties. And there was some discussion of also perhaps sharing some of that if it wasn't used next year with the land bank. And so we're gonna be pulling that pretty thin, I think, that particular account.
Yeah, I would say the only other thing would be, I don't think you have to use a specific account to do the demolitions. I think you could just rely on any monies in just the general fund. That's just from other cities that I work with. They pay for it out of their general fund. They don't have well, in the past they haven't always had a specific line item. Now that cities are kind of ramping up these efforts statewide, I think it's becoming more common where they are trying to budget money just to make sure that they don't spend it out of their general fund, and they have it specifically set aside so that they can make sure it's available for it. But I do know in the past it's gone to where they've had extra money in the general fund and have paid for it that way. But as far as going outside of that, I'm not sure.
So a couple things from my past auditor days. I don't think that would qualify as an encumbrance unless it was a specific agreement to tear down that property. What he was saying there is budget violations aren't individual lines within. So it's, if something came up that next year we really wanted to do, and there's more houses that need this, and we went over on that line and under on another, I don't see that as a problem. So I realize I was one that was wanting to get them done this year, but that's okay if we don't. We'll make it work.
Okay. Do you have any input, Rob?
From a practical standpoint, and being respectful for the property owners, if we accelerated this and did the two-week continuous notification and then proceeded with the procedure, is there enough time? I mean, we got the month of December. Weather-wise, that could be a limiting factor. But is there enough time to do it this year?
You mean for the encumbrance side of it?
No, I mean to physically do it. If everything went smooth, if we approved these resolutions tonight for this date, and we had a December timeline, is there really enough time? But because you're saying we can't encumber that fund.
Well, on the contingency that it may end up being demolished. But if it was, the landowner says, I'm not gonna do anything, then we can make an agreement with whatever contractor to tear it down. And they could do that in January, but we, they gave us a price and we agreed to it. Yet in December, that would be an encumbrance. We've obligated the funds.
Okay.
I'd say that's the key part of it. We've obligated the funds.
But if both Monty and Robert are comfortable with the later time frame, I agree, it is always better to have more time rather than less time, especially when you're dealing with individuals that may have limitations, for cleaning up or tearing down their properties.
I just think I'd like to see all these properties remedied, but I think in respect to the owners, we should give them the timeline that's probably been proposed by Cody.
Yeah, and I did include information there. A lot of times that hearing that's scheduled will be continued because they come to that hearing and they show, well, here's the contractor I'm using, here's the work that we're doing. We think it's going to be done within such and such date. And this is just for future information too, that sometimes it makes sense, well, let's continue this to next month, see if they're still making progress, or even if they get it fixed to the point where we don't need to proceed with the proceedings anymore. That's an option as well.
And that has occurred in the past. We gave extensions for extenuating circumstances, both personal and environment and whatever. So
Absolutely,
we've
have.
done that.
Sure.
I mean, we've been reasonable,
So moving from there, the packet that is located after the memorandum I prepared, it includes basic information and of course the resolutions for each property. They are bookmarked by property in the PDF, but essentially for tonight we don't need to, nor should we get into the specifics of the issues with the property since the property owners are not here. The information provided that was from Mr. Walker and the work that he's been doing. You'll see he sent notices out to these individuals already. He's been working on these matters for some time now. But just to give you at least a little bit of background information so that you all can feel comfortable with approving to move forward with a hearing in general. But in terms of any questions you might have about the properties or any information, we can save all of those for the hearings themselves. It's just really just for informational purposes, like I said, so you'd feel comfortable at least setting the hearing. So if we are good with moving forward with that January 20th date, then I would recommend that the resolutions for 412 South Main, which is 110325-C, 712 North Pine, which is 110325-D, and 117 North High Street, which is resolution number 110325-E. I would ask that the Commission approve those resolutions, setting the hearing for the 20th day of January 2026 before the governing body of the City of Pratt at 5 p.m. Now, the actual hearings themselves won't be at 5, they'll be at when they're on the agenda, but that, of course, is fine. That at least lets them know when the meeting starts and essentially when they need to be here by, so that they are present for when the meeting does, for when the public hearing does start. I've included on each of those resolutions both the legal description of the properties as well as the commonly known as street addresses, to make sure there's no question about which specific property we're talking about. But I would recommend that those three resolutions. Probably should do them individually to be on the safe side, but that they be passed tonight so we can set the public hearing and move forward with these processes.
What happens if we have a big blizzard on January 20th?
Then we'll basically have to notice it up again. We'll have to
Okay.
reset the hearing. We'll continue it. We'll send notice to the property owners, and we'll probably go ahead and publish it again as well.
So making do we have to read all this, or can we just say resolution?
No, I think I've said enough, hopefully for Bree to use, but yeah, I would just ask that you state the resolution number and maybe the address
Okay.
and approve it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 110325-C, 412 South Main as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 110325-C at 412 South Main as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Want to do one?
I'd make a motion that we approve resolution 110325-D, 712 North Pine.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 110325-D, 712 North Pine as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'd also make a motion that we approve resolution 110325-E for 117 North High.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 110325-E, 117 North High as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Cody.
You're welcome.
Moving on to 6.12, discussion and approval of adoption of 2024 building and safety codes. Mr. Robert Walker, City Inspector.
Thank you. We've actually purchased the 2024 building and safety codes for the 2511 International Building Code, 2512 International Fire Code, 2513 International Fuel Gas Code, 2514 International Mechanical Code, 2515 International Plumbing Code, 2516 International Residential Code, and the 2517 National Electric Code. I guess what we're asking you guys right now, if we'd give us permission to adopt them into our, just so we have the newest up-to-date building safety codes.
Now, Robert, are you adopting the 2023 NEC?
Yes,
So the others are all 2024s, but the NEC is 2023?
yes, that is correct. The NEC is a 2023.
Yeah, I think it's safest to do individually, unfortunately.
Well, I move that we adopt number 2511 International Building Code Amendment.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. We approve International Building Code Amendment 2511 of the 2024 Building and Safety Codes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I would make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2512 International Fire Code Amendment.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the 2512 International Fire Code Amendment. Any? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I move that we adopt number 2513 International Fuel Gas Code Amendment.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve 2513, the International Fuel Gas Code Amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. I'll move that we approve 2514, the International Mechanical Code Amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve 2514 International Mechanical Code Amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2515 International Plumbing Code Amendment.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve 2515, the International Plumbing Code Amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll move that we approve 2516, the International Residential Code Amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve 2516, the International Residential Code Amendment. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I move that we approve number 2517, National Electrical Code Amendment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the 2517 International Electrical Code Amendment, which, do I need to say which is 2023?
Yes, sir.
Which is 2023. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. It's a lot of motions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Cody, and thank you, Robert. Moving on to number 7, open public comments, city matters only. There's a 3-minute time limit. The public is allowed to speak on issues or items not scheduled for discussion on the agenda. Comments should be limited to issues and items germane to the business of the governing body. The commission will not discuss or debate these items, nor will the commission make decisions on items presented during this time. Members of the public will be limited to 3 minutes for comments. Is there anybody in the public that, yes, sir? If you'd just come to the podium and state your name and address.
Yeah, I'm Donnie Hollister, and I'd like to be able to continue doing what I've been doing at my property on 1313 North Niniscal that I have been doing for the last 13 years. And which is, working on all different kinds of stuff. I don't stick to one trade. I work on many different things, as far as handymans, welding, etc. And this year I just started a business, and I need to have my inventory of vehicles and whatnot for customers and all that other stuff to be up there, but I guess the ordinance is conflicting with doing so. Because to have a vehicle that is unoperatable, that gotten wrecked, it needs repaired, is considered unoperatable and you can't have, apparently. But it's a customer's vehicle and I'm repairing it, so I would kind of need to have it in order to be able to do what I'm doing. So that's kind of what I'm after, is getting permission to continue doing what I've been doing for the last 13 years up there. Now I'm, got a business and legally,
Keep in mind, we can't take any action
Yeah.
tonight on that. You're just giving us information.
Yeah, I'm
Appreciate
wanting
that.
to get approved on it, so.
Well, and is this a case pending in municipal court?
Yeah, if we got into discussion, which we generally don't on open comment anyways, but there's a case in municipal court right now, and Mr. Hollister does have an attorney, so we really can't discuss the
Okay.
particulars of it at this point anyway until that case is resolved one way or the other.
Okay.
And that is on the 1313 property, correct? And the vehicles that I have are on a different property.
I can't answer any of your questions since you have an attorney. It'd be a violation of our legal and ethical rules
Okay, well,
since you're represented by counsel.
all right.
Thank you, Mr. Hollister. Anybody else want to approach the podium? Tammy? Okay. Moving on to reports, city manager.
Okay, I don't have much. Everything that we've been talking about, I've been involved with working on, except for some of what Robert and Cody have been working so hard on. In your packet is a request from Arrowhead West to provide, it says Pratt County, but they sent it to us as well, just requesting a letter of support. I intend to write that letter of support that they've received state funding unless there is some objection from the commission. So there's that. This week, well, last week, we started weekly meetings with architects and engineers on the Point Pavilion. We did the same thing when we were building the pool, just once weekly, getting together, discussing items that are coming up. I anticipate that that will continue for the next year at least. There's continued discussion going on about the neighborhood revitalization program. I still anticipate that once that program is comes up for renewal, it will look very different in the future than it has in the past, based on he was at the last meeting, and he is the legal representative for the city, the legal representative for the county. They both agree that the way it's been instituted in the past is not consistent with the definitions that are in the statute, so that we need to move forward in a different direction. This week on Wednesday, I will go to McPherson for a KMU board meeting. Next week, Jamie and I will both be at a KMEA board meeting, and I think Evan and Rodney are going with us. Is that so, if there's any questions? If not,
Thank you.
Just you mentioned earlier about people being able to go online and get our minutes of agenda and everything. Do we have any idea if people do that? Are they aware of it?
Bree?
There is not, excuse me, there's not a way to get analytics on who's viewing the documents. That's one of the only things that we can't see.
I was just curious if people were aware that that's how they could.
Yes, and I've shared it on social media several times. There are about, I think there's around 18 to 20 people that have signed up to get automatic notifications via email when something is uploaded. So there is a small number of people that do get a notice, but there's no feedback or additional analytics on the rest of it.
Thank you. Just curious.
Mr. Shanline, Public Works.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't really have anything to report from the departments. I will be gone on vacation next week, and at Ms. Goff's recommendation, I've enlisted Nick Lawfer from Street Department to assist in Public Works in the event of public calls or problems or things of the such. And he'll handle everything on that end.
Enjoy your vacation.
I do. Thank you.
So I see interim on his nameplate. What's our status on that?
So, we did not receive a large pool of qualified applicants. We received 3 or 4. We scheduled 4 or 5 interviews. 2 people didn't come, and really, Mr. Shanline is well qualified for the position in which he's being the interim. However, when I discussed it with him, we both, came to an agreement that we would wait several months with him in the interim position and then revisit the discussion and see if it's still something that Jeff is feeling comfortable with and if it's a good fit. Have I said that correctly?
Yeah, she was generous enough to give me, I believe we agreed to the end of the year to determine if this was 100% what I saw for my future. And I appreciated that because Russ's retirement came quicker than I anticipated. So I was really looking to have more shadow time with him, but it is what it is. So
He's
Okay.
doing good, and good job putting him on the spot, you know.
yeah, I love direct
Good
questions.
job.
But he is doing a great job. We're very pleased with him.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Walker, building inspector. Have you
All
done
right,
enough?
thank you. I don't have much. I've just been doing routine inspections and what we're discussing now. So,
Okay. Any questions for Robert? You got off good tonight. Thank you. Jamie?
Oh, I don't have a lot either. Power plant, got two guys in Garden City at a operator's, workshop this week. The rest of them are trying to winterize the plant, get it ready and going. Line crews out doing their normal stuff, replacing poles and some wire, and, they prepared our portion of the Christmas lights for this year, so they're ready to go, and we'll start hanging those here in a couple of weeks. Other than that, Evan's been working with power plant, clients with getting our air permitting and our construction.
And are we moving along okay with our generator project?
Yeah, we did get a letter from MCAT saying that they were delayed about 3 months now, but that wasn't gonna hurt us any, so that gives us more time to get prepared our side that we're gonna do.
How's our solar farm doing? Is it running?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually it is. We had a company, well, we didn't, the company came out and, had worked it over again, and it's, running full throttle right now, so.
Good.
Good with that, so, yeah, everything's going pretty good.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Justin?
Thank you. We're having the curtains installed tonight at the municipal building. They're currently, should be there right now, starting that project, so they'll be there for the
Can we go
next.
look at it, or?
You give them a few days. It's a
Okay.
multi-day project. They're gonna be there. They plan for pretty much all week to be there installing the curtains. Our women's volleyball league ends tonight. They're actually currently playing at the Blythe right now for their postseason tournament due to the construction at the municipal building, so we moved them for tonight. Our winter activities newsletter went up today, and all the activities went live over the weekend, so they can sign up for all of our winter activities now. Thanks to Tiffany for getting that done for us. We still are looking for a yoga / group fitness instructor. Joni informed us that she's going to be taking a step back and retiring from teaching yoga. So we're looking for someone to do that. And then, as Regina mentioned, we are having our weekly meetings for the Point with all of the engineers, architects, Smiley Concrete, the whole nine. Everyone's meeting every Wednesday at 1:30. So we're really starting to make some progress on the project. That's all I got. Oh, and then, sorry, to touch on you, I have had several people bring up that they have watched the meetings online, and they asked me questions about such and such that went on. So there are some people that are watching the videos.
Okay, thank you. Chief Oler?
Thank you, sir. Wrapping up our monthly report for our activities in October, Officer Masonek compiles our data for our department every month. We had 608 calls for service last month, including 17 traffic collisions and 232 traffic stops. Or we did have an uptick in traffic collisions for the month. Our calls for service were up too for the month. 27 misdemeanor investigations and 10 felony investigations with 10 arrests. Last week I attended the board meeting. I sit on the board for the KIA, it's the Kansas Intelligence Association for the state of Kansas, and conference on Wednesday. It's basically intelligence sharing for law enforcement, and we're connected to the KBI and the FBI for intelligence for threat assessments and stuff. It was a good conference. Coming up this week and next week, we have training for our officers for night qualifications for pistols, rifles, and shotguns, instructed by Sergeant Gimple and Officer Nix. Also included in those 2 days of training, we have defensive tactics that's being instructed by Officer Eck, Warman, and Gata, who are all martial arts background instructors. Regina and I met Friday evening at 5 o'clock to review 2 bids received on the 619 North Main project. We'll be combing through them and see what kind of steps for funding and cuts, modifications, anything necessary to make that project go forward. Officer Stats started with Ken's Law Enforcement Training Center today. It's a 14-week academy. He does stay there during the week and then return on the weekends. That's all I have.
Got a
So we
lot
have
going
questions?
on.
Yes, a lot going on.
Thank you. Okay, Chief Hoffman.
Thank you, Commissioner. As we talked about earlier, our Eric Welch and I will be going up to South Dakota to inspect the vehicle. We'll be going up on the 18th, which is a Tuesday, and then we will do the plant inspection or the truck inspection, then do kind of a plant tour with them on Wednesday, the 19th, and then we'll be returning on the 20th. So they're just about wrapping it up and getting it almost finished. They still do have the wraps for the, or not a wrap, but the decals and the numbering for the truck that need to be done, and then also the lights, I believe, will need to be installed. So, Eric, did you have anything else that you knew that they were needing to do? Finish up? Yeah, we just have to give them the design that we want to use for decals so they can get that installed. And so we're looking at delivery probably mid-December. So, weather permitting, we'll see how that goes.
Are you going to have kind of any special event or?
We'll do a push in. We'll,
Okay.
just like we've always done, push the
Good.
truck into the bay. So we'll get that set up
Good.
when we know we have a pinpointed time when we're going to get that. So we're also going to be doing on November the 9th pancake feed to kind of help raise some funds for the fire department too. That's from 10 to 2 on a Sunday on the 9th. So other than that, I do have James Baker. He has done his 1-year probationary period as well. So he'll be coming out of probationary status, and we'll be bringing him on as firefighter. Do that this Wednesday. So, other than that, that's about it.
A lot going on, thank you.
Oh, it's always busy, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Questions? No? City Attorney, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I'm still working on some ordinances. I mentioned some of them at the last meeting. Some of those kind of took a pause on to focus on some of the agenda items today, but I'm hoping those will be on the next agenda. Also working on some resolutions to abate some nuisance issues within the city. Those are currently at the municipal court level. I don't think they're going to get completely cleaned up, although some of them have, and we've resolved some cases in municipal court. But there are a few that I think we might need to just debate on. So the process is when they initially receive their notice of violation, before we could prosecute on it or before we could abate on it, they had 10 days in which to request a hearing in front of you all on those matters. None of those requested those hearings because these have been in court now for a few months. So that's what led us to first start. Generally, we start with the municipal court process. The statute and the ordinance allows to do both. We can do both at the same time. But generally, we start with municipal court because a lot of them are resolved there. They get it cleaned up. We generally just dismiss with court costs, and then it's not an issue anymore. So like I said, we've had a few that have been successful, cleaned up, dismissed them upon payment of the court costs. But there are a few, like I said, I think we're going to need to have the city abate those properties, in which case, similar to the dangerous structure process, although it is a different process, the cost of doing so would be placed back onto the property. And so that's what we would move forward with. But I'll have those resolutions finished by the next meeting, and we'll review them at that time and discuss them in more detail. But just wanted to give you a heads up that those were coming your way.
Well, I really appreciated your memorandum on spelling that out because now we're all on the same page, and we do this kind of infrequently.
Exactly,
So it
yep.
really It was very helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Yep, you're welcome. My pleasure. But that's all I have for tonight, unless you have any other questions.
So when it goes through the processes like you're talking about, does the city just bear all of your legal costs for going through these, or like the people fighting it, do they incur court costs, or what's?
Yeah, so at the municipal court level, when we file the charges, even if they clean it up, we still charge the court costs for having to file the case and everything involved with that. If they do not, and either they just plead guilty to it, then they get the court costs, but additionally they'll have a fine. Generally, I ask the judge to institute a suspended jail sentence, giving them, another so many amount of days to get the property cleaned up. And at which point, if they don't, then the judge could potentially issue some of that jail time. It's not automatic. It's up to the judge's discretion to do so. Generally, I like to reserve at least that ability to do so in case when the city does go out to abate the property, if the property owner decides to try to interfere with that, which in and of itself is a violation that the person could be charged with. But it also allows the potential of going back into court, and if they're not going to cooperate, instituting that jail time so that it's not an issue, because I don't want to put city staff or anyone we hire out in a bad position, a dangerous situation with a property owner. So yeah, in terms of the municipal court, we do charge costs at that level. If we move forward with abatement, which is a separate but related procedure, those costs are placed onto the property, as it's similar to like the dangerous structure is.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Alita?
I do have, the PFAS settlement that we have received $56,000 from the DuPont settlement, and we've received over $287,000 on the 3M settlement, and the 3M settlement is still only at 45% funds to us, so we still have another 55,000 or 55% funds.
So the 3M settlement is a multi-year settlement though.
And that's after their cut.
So that's what
Excellent.
we've received, almost 343,000 so far.
And I really want to give kudos to Kelvin, because
Sure.
last year, once a week, he and I met with the attorneys at Napoli, Linklet, or I don't know how to say their second name well enough, but Kelvin just kept incredibly good records over years and years and years, and so those records helped the city have a good position in that class action lawsuit.
So then the money that we're receiving, does it go into like a reserve account to help with this whole water
I'm just
project
putting it
coming
in
up?
back to the water
water.
fund as reimbursed expenses is what I'm putting it in as.
The whole idea when we entered into that lawsuit was that we would use those funds towards building a water treatment plant. And so we're prospecting for land for that now.
Yeah, I like the idea of it being used for the water treatment
Yeah.
plant.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Bree?
I attended city clerk training last week. I'm on year 3. Had to give a group presentation. It's easy peasy. So I have 1 year left of clerk training, and then I'll graduate. And then also I'll be sending the comprehensive fee schedule out to the departments to review, so that they can make their proposals, and I will try to have all of that cleaned up in the next commission meeting, because I know last year we were a little tight on time, so we're trying to be ahead of schedule this year for y'all. So yeah, I hope to have that at the next meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Well, the mayor doesn't have anything tonight, so I'll just say, I hope you exercise your right, if you're able, to vote tomorrow. And I should have said this when Roy was here. My wife had a cousin visit the last 2 days from the San Antonio area, and he was totally impressed with our brick streets, how well maintained they were. So you might pass that along, that it's a matter of perspective. That an outsider thought we had great, beautiful brick streets. So, okay. I don't have anything else.
I don't have anything.
Gary, do you have anything?
I just wanna say thanks for letting me participate by phone. I hate that, but it's better than nothing, so thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. All right, if there's no further business, does anybody have anything else? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried.